The common phrase is, there's no textbook for parenting. To an extent, that's true. And to an extent, it isn't. There's no textbook for life. But there are concepts you can follow, precepts you can believe in. And if you do, you are molding the next generation that will follow you. I'd like to introduce you to Master Paul Prendergast, the operator of the Paul Prendergast karate schools. Two of them, Brick and Tom's River.
Correct.
Paul has placed these concepts and precepts into a work that he has published, Stop Painful Parenting, Tales from Our Side of the Mat. A master in self-defense, he has seen parents and children in all stages of excellence and disrepair. He has gathered some of the most extreme examples of each, placed them in a context in which you can look at it and say, I recognize something here. And then he has supplemented that with authoritative commentary by a psychological therapist, Carol Davis. Paul, there wasn't a page in this book where I didn't recognize something. And I know that in the very beginning you are flat out saying this is going to be brutal at times, right, and this is going to be honest.
Correct, yeah.
So let me ask you, first of all, what was it that drove you to take these observations you've been gathering and want to place them into a published form where people could actually look at you and say, oh, he's not right about that?
You know, I got to a point where I've been in business almost 30 years, and I've been in the martial arts for well over 37 years. So thousands of people have come through my school. I've taught families, siblings, and it just bothers me that as time goes on, we're still making these mistakes, and parents forget that they're in a position of influence, and just like teachers and coaches and therapists and instructors, you know, so the example seems to be like we're not thinking about that, and that really motivated me. It motivated me to, I think people need to take a hard look at themselves, you know, and if hindsight being 2020, the book may be like a corrective lens where maybe they could kind of look through and say, hey, listen, I'm doing that. I could do that a little better. Maybe I need to stop doing that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's pursue that for a second. You have someone who looks at this, looks at the page of this book, absorbs what you're teaching, but doesn't see it in themselves.
Yeah.
How do you take someone who cannot see it in him or herself? How can you penetrate somebody like that? How can anybody penetrate someone like that? Or how can that person turn on the inner light?
I think, you know, sometimes it hits them in the face. And I think if we're talking about the book, reading the book, mm-hmm, I think if somebody reads the book, I've had a few parents, I've had a few students of mine who've read the book, and they said, oh my God, it's me. So that would be one way. Another way, I think, is just really, I have friends and family and, again, colleagues that are making mistakes, and you know, they could be doing it a little better. And, you know, sometimes that little gentle kind of, how's that working out for you? Mm-hmm. You know, if you keep, there's the old saying, if you keep doing what you're always doing, you're going to keep getting what you always got.
Right.
And it's not by accident that children will, you know, they'll keep doing the same thing, or parents will keep doing the same things. There's no correction, or there's no praise. I talk about it in the book, you know, PCP, praise, correct, praise. Mm-hmm. So if they're starting off as little ones and then now they're 15 and 16, well, that behavior is really not cute anymore. And the parents, if you're not correcting it, or you're scolding them the wrong way, you're taking too much time yelling and screaming and not handling your own life, yeah, eventually you're gonna pay the price, and you're gonna see it down the road. So the idea is hopefully, people can see it. Maybe a little nudge with the book, or maybe someone that's close to them could say, hey, may want to rethink the way you're doing that.
What I got out of it was that youngsters, people we bring into this world, are basically unmolded clay.
Right.
Or a piece of granite. What that turns out to look like is based on what you do to it. So you can turn out Michelangelo's
Right.
David,
Oh, yeah, sure.
or you can turn out a lump of granite, one or the other. And so there are a lot of instances in here in which I could relate, and not just because of the examples that you drew, but because of the touchstones that are all throughout the book. Little snippets from people, from Aristotle to Will Rogers to Graham Nash,
Right.
to Abraham Lincoln. These inform me of your inner workings and how they adhere to the principles that you underscore as the 6 degrees of awesome: perseverance, honesty, integrity, courtesy, self-control, and respect. Now, with all that in mind, it's normal for a parent to want better
Of course.
for their children.
Of course.
You would agree with that?
Absolutely.
So where do we go wrong with the methodology? Where do we go wrong with, how does it become, I'm dropping my kid off, do something with him, I'll be back later, or no matter what you do, it's going to be wrong?
Right. I think parents, I mean this day and age, parents don't go out thinking, hey, I want to be a bad parent. In this life, they're working 2 jobs. Some are working 3 jobs. But I do think our standards got a little watered down somewhere along the way. I do think that some people, not all, but there are some, like the extreme examples in the book, they've forgotten their why. Like, why am I a parent? Why am I having this child? What do I want for him? Why am I taking him here? And I think that's a big part of it. I think they really forgot their why. I'm a parent, and that's why I could talk. I lost my wife 7 years ago, and I was thrust into a new world of being a single parent. And nothing meant more to me than I have to raise this kid right.
How did that trauma change your view of parenting once you adjusted?
You know what? I don't know if it ever changed my view. I think it reinforced what my job was as a parent. My daughter would probably say the same thing to you. I'm not her friend. We're not best friends. We don't go out together. We don't hang out together. I'm her father, and for that means right or wrong. These are the rules. This is what I expect from you. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to accomplish. And I help guide her. My job is to guide her. And if she makes mistakes, she makes mistakes, or I make mistakes. But I think as far as a parent, nothing was more important to me than having dinner with my daughter every night. So I'd leave the schools, and at 6:30 every night I made dinner, and we had dinner, and I'd go back and I'd teach. But that was really important to me because we needed to spend time, and we needed to talk, and we needed to, be a family.
The old phrase was, and it used to be funny, whoever dies with the most toys wins.
Right, yeah.
Are we in an age where that's really the creed now? And how does one individual learning from a book like this have the ability to start stemming that tide?
Oof. I do believe, right, I think at one time where the guy who dies with the most toys wins, right? He's the champ. I think we need to go back to the old-fashioned ways of parenting where, 1 minute praise, 1 minute correction. I need to expect respect. I think a lot of times things have got watered down. For some reason, we we got lazy. I think we got lazy as parents, and we lowered our standards. Like I tell my students and my staff, if there's 3 words that we need to always keep in our mind when we're teaching, raising kids, creating a business, raise your standards. As we say in the school, good, better, best, never rest till good is better and better is best. And no, I expect that. No, I expect you to do chores. I expect you to take out the garbage. Yeah, that's what we need to do. That's, for some reason, we've gotten away from that. So, I mean, I think the material things, I hope that's not where we're going. Mm-hmm. I hope that's not where it is. Like the guy who has them, I sincerely hope, because, like Thomas Jefferson said, an abundance of material objects without moral character results in destruction.
Example after example in here had me cringing and laughing by turns.
Right, yeah.
And some of the behavior is on behalf of the parents, and some is on behalf of the kids.
Correct.
As the depository where all of this behavior exemplified itself, did you ever question, why am I even in this business? Was the mission that important for you? Did you come to see your business as a mission to address this sort of behavior?
Yeah, I got to this point where I'm like, I've always wanted to write something. I've always wanted to share this with people that maybe they can learn from it. But yeah, I thought it would be my mission. I said, I'm at a point now, I got a lot of years in. I said, I should have did it years ago. But I just set a goal and we did it. But yeah, I think people need to know. You need to stop doing what you're doing. I mean, there really are some painful instances in there, and the parents they don't even know they're doing it. So I even write about a picture. I'm holding a big mirror to the side of me. Mm-hmm. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Do you not see what you're doing in public? And if you have no problem raising your children in the public like this is what you're doing, that's even more reason for us to talk about it, because you don't get it. Mm-hmm. And you got kids. And I mean, those are our most, God, the children, that's our most precious commodity, if you want to say, for lack of a wrong word. But I mean, that's our future. I mean, if you want to build the future, look at your kids and spend time with them. And understand that you're molding that person. Oh my God! Give your kids. What's the old saying? Give your kids more presence and less presence. Mm-hmm. Be with them, guide them. Teach them. I mean, the word discipline translates to teach. Right. The one thing that stuck out to me is that in just about every instance, a parent's attitude was, I'm always right or I'm always wrong. And the same for the children. You're always right, and for another one it's you're always wrong. Where do you find, how do you as a business person dealing with one of those parents open that window and say, okay, it isn't right. It isn't one way or the other. Right. Look at it this way. How do you do that and still maintain a business relationship and maintain an enrollment? It's tough because you don't want to step on toes, but obviously, like I'm in the business to teach good martial arts, strong character development. When I do have that situation with parents and I end up having an office chat with them, and I ask a series of questions, and I just say, well, why is he doing this? I say, why are you allowing this? And then I'll say, well, why are we continuing to do this? And a lot of times the parents can't answer me. It's just, that's what we do. I said, why is he allowed to swear at you? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, he doesn't mean it, but he gets mad. And I was like, but why are you allowing this?
That's how he is.
That's how he is.
Right.
That's how he is. Well, that's what he does. And I said, well, what's it going to take to stop? I mean, do we want to continue this? And then I'll say, how's that going? How's that working? Is that working for everybody? And they know it's not. And I said, well, we need to kind of change things up. What's it going to take to change things up? And then we have the conversation with the child, we have the conversation with the parent. But a lot of times that's how I'll go into it. I'll go into it so I don't step on any toes and I come off as the big, barbarian instructor who knows it all. And because I don't know it all. I'm a parent just like everybody else, and I win sometimes and I lose, and I do the right thing and I step on a landmine. But for the most part, I'm pretty consistent, and I think that's the key.
And I have to be clear that he has run across some hair-raising experiences in here. There were the two women carrying an affair,
right.
The two moms.
Yeah.
There were the two dads who were sharing a mom.
Correct.
And most tellingly, not a psychological and a physical problem. The young man with hemophilia.
Yeah. That was.
And that wasn't even the one. Was that the one that took you to court?
No.
That was a whole separate.
That was a whole separate thing, and.
But it had to do with
a chest protector. Yeah, it was a chest protector, and at the time, the insurance company that I have, wasn't a mandate. Mm-hmm. And in all my years to this day, 37 years in martial arts, I have never worn a chest protector when I fight. We didn't do it, and for the one reason. Sometimes when you put too much equipment on somebody, they feel like they're invincible.
Right.
And
kind of like football.
And we actually used that argument. And it's not the case. Sometimes when you have less, you have more control. There's more respect for the partner. I mean, if we gear up from head to toe, a lot of times people just think that they can just wail and so that was problematic for me then, but. The hemophilia one, that was something where the parent, I don't know what her thoughts were there, but I mean, if I'm putting my child into an art, a contact sport, I would want to divulge this is what my child's going through, especially if I'm entrusting an instructor. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't the case, and as you know in the book, it was just, it's none of your business.
Right.
I go, it's none of my business. Your child doesn't even feel it. He could get really, it could kill him.
Yes.
You don't want to divulge? You don't want to let me know that? So, so there's examples like that. And I don't know. And in her defense, I don't know. Maybe she just figured she was helping.
Now you have a questionnaire. People have to...
Oh, my God, yeah.
People have to actually meet some kind of standards just to enroll.
Correct.
So have you now been able to adjust that so that you're looking at the physical issues? Absolutely.
It was a good learning tool. It was a good learning. I mean, we have an intake form that asks different questions about medical, school, etc. So we kind of revamped that as well. But we always try to keep the conversation going with the parent. Like, is there anything else I need to know? How is he doing? Is any issues? Anything you want to? And some parents, they won't tell you.
Let's give some props to Carol Davis. She does an outstanding job of...
Carol's awesome.
...of bringing balance to your observations, because your observations are pretty straightforward and raw. And right. She brings in a component based on her experience. How did you find her?
Carol Davis is a great therapist, and I found her through grief counseling. When my wife passed away, it was a traumatic way she went, and we write about it there. And I had a psychologist at the school, and the psychologist said to me, he goes, "How's your daughter?" And it was probably like 6 months to a year after the night, and I said, she's we're good. And he chastised me. He got really upset with me, and he says, "Is she in any type of counseling? Is she talking to anybody?" Because I said, "No." And he really got on me, and he goes, you realize she just lost her mother. He goes, 15 years old. He goes, that is the worst age for a girl to lose her mother, because there's so much to go through in life. He goes, and he looked at me like I was a painful parent, and he says, "What are you doing?" And I didn't think so. We ended up going to grief counseling, and then that's how we met Carol Davis. And she was awesome. And my daughter is doing great. She always did, but she wants to follow suit, and she wants to be a therapist now. So that was the example Carol set. So she's graduating college with honors and off to a master's degree and off to be a counselor and wants to help other people.
How much credit do you take for that?
I can't. I got to be humble. You know, as a martial artist, we have to be some type of humility. But I'll take a little bit. I'll take a little bit.
Paul Prendergast, the operator of Paul Prendergast Karate in Brick and Tom's River. The book is Stop Painful Parenting, Tales from Our Side of the Mat. It's published by Lulu. And where is it available, Paul?
You could get it at Barnes & Noble. You can get it on Amazon. And you could actually get it from the Lulu publisher as well.
All right. And this is not a textbook for parenting. Paul is not in here saying, I'm right about everything, listen to me, and you'll be a better person. But it could be. And that's
it's like humility. A cautionary tale.
That's the humility in you.
Yeah.
But it is a cautionary tale, and I guarantee you will recognize somebody in here, whether it's somebody from the highway, somebody from the supermarket, somebody from work. There are generalities in here that go down to specifics that you can see. And the next time you look at the car next to you and go, what's wrong with that guy? You're going to remember the book.
Yeah.
But most importantly, if you're a young parent, this is worth reading simply for the guidelines. Well, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.